What does FAP require to be considered an evidence-based therapy?
So when the Center for Science of Social Connection was first created, this was back in 2013, and Jonathan, I just see Jonathan Cantor as this amazing researcher and scientist. And we were really focused at that time on how do we make FAP an evidence-based treatment, because that was the zeitgeist in the field, that everybody was paying attention to evidence-based therapies, and there were certain criteria. Do you remember what the criteria were at that time? Like a certain number of RCTs, randomized controlled trials, and the developer of the research of the therapy couldn't be involved in it. And at that time, I don't think we had very many RCTs, maybe one. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where the field is in terms of the criteria for evidence-based trials for a therapy to be called evidence-based. FAP doesn't meet those formal criteria. And it's been hard to do these RCTs because FAP is so individualized. It's hard to say, this is exactly what you do. This is the manual, and this is how you create the research so that everybody's following the manualized guidelines for doing FAP. Because each person comes in and they have their individualized clinically relevant behaviors. It's very hard for us to research in the proper ways that RCTs are being done in the field. Why else would you say we had
trouble? Well, I mean, the difficulty in general is that people have a misunderstanding about FAP in the sense that it's based on principles which can vary from client to client and situation to situation. And the principles are very solid. They're based on behavioral, well-researched principles and so forth. But because they don't lend themselves to a 1, 2, or 3-step procedure, it requires a much broader view as to what's going on. And this is probably getting vague again. So I would say, the thing is, we've collected, we've written several books, we've published many articles, we have a relatively large following, people that practice FAP. So people understand it. Once you try it, people can actually get into trying it. People get sold that this is a good way to proceed. And we're always looking, though, for more evidence-based, traditional, typical evidence-based studies to be done. So we've published a lot. How many books have we done?
5, and there are lots of little research studies. We need more RCTs. So I think our field has moved away from the importance of what qualifies as an evidence-based treatment. I think it's a broader definition now. Would you say, Renzo, that we want to, if someone comes in with a particular disorder, we want to use what is the most evidence-based treatment? So if somebody has borderline personality disorder, the most research treatment obviously is DBT. And there are lots of clients though who come in with less clear disorders. They're unhappy, they have relationship issues, they have fear of intimacy. And I think, as Bob was saying, that we have a large evidence base for our work in terms of the principles of behaviorism, and there have been lots of single subject design studies and small studies done on FAP. But what is really important is the needs and preferences of each individual client and navigating the relationship with that client, what it is that they want from therapy. So I think that what impacted most what impacted us most in terms of our development of FAP is the feedback that we got from our clients and from our students. So this is what's working, this is what isn't working, and that's what shaped us, and that's what we hope to shape everyone else out there who's using FAP principles. Is it working?
Yeah.
Your clients.
I know because, well, I made FAP, so I know the results.
And I think one of the most important tenets of evidence-based treatment is just this commitment to an ongoing focus on collecting evidence and expanding our knowledge and collecting data in whatever ways we do it. That we're not like narrowly focused on, oh, what this is the best way, but just to be very open-minded about what we're doing and continually collecting data however we collect data. It could be these large studies, or it could just be one-on-one, like collecting our weekly session bridging questions and getting feedback from our clients to, is this working?
Yeah. I think we have, 5 minutes, but maybe we can, I think this is an important question. Maybe. What can FAP provide to therapists who works with non-behavioral therapies, such as psychodynamic, humanistic, existential therapies, or other ones?
I mean, one response I have to that question is that I'm very friendly. Mavis and I are very friendly to many different types of therapy and interventions. So, for example, I'm many types, and I'm very much taken with psychodynamic and Freud's work and so forth. Although I don't, of course, adhere to the theory, but I think there are important discoveries in that. So, I would say that we can, with our approach, we can actually talk to just about anybody with any theoretical orientation and talk about some principles that they can use to promote what's important in terms of getting clinical improvement. So I could go into that quite a bit, but I mean, I think that's one of the powers of FAP, is that even though the theory, which is contextual behaviorism, according to Skinner, is seen by most people as narrow, improperly, most people as narrow. It actually is extremely broad in its acceptance of techniques and methods that could work. And the idea of a formula, some simple little thing that you can do that always is going to work, which is characteristic of many therapies today, we actually don't adhere to that. We think what's important, there's certain principles that are important, but what's important is much more about the process that you go through when you do therapy. So I guess I could just mention one word about that. One of the principles, which is developed on our theory and based on FAP, is that what happens between the therapist and the client, that interaction, is precious and actually offers opportunities for producing remarkable change, the actual interactions that occur. And so our whole theory, FAP theory, is based on capturing something about that interaction. And I'll say it in a word which is probably confusing, and that is how the client's daily life problems actually occur in the therapy session with the therapist. Now, is that 100% correct? It's not 100%, but it's very, very correct. And that's why I'm friendly to psychoanalysis, because they came up with this idea of transference, which they saw as kind of a pathological process. We see this as normal, and that is the client and the therapist interacting with each other will replay the problems that the client is having in everyday life. And this provides an amazing therapeutic opportunity.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what kind of theoretical framework you operate from, what type of therapy that you do. If you learn FAP principles, we really believe it's going to add intensity to your work and just add impact to your treatment, because we focus on what's happening in this moment. And there's nothing more powerful than what's happening in this moment between you and your client, or between you and someone else. So, like in this moment, I'm not aware of anything else but you. You are in Lima, Peru, and here we are in Seattle, USA, and we're having this just really powerful connection with each other. And I'm feeling your presence and your curiosity. Just so appreciative that you want to bring FAP to a larger audience. And so Renzo, why is that? Why did you want to talk to us? Why do you want to bring FAP to more people?
Well, for me, because for me the social connection is really important. Really important. It's something about my life, no? Maybe about my history, no? But the moments that I connect with people with ACL model of FAP in therapy was really good for me, no? And I would like to those moments and to bring those moments for more people, maybe sharing this to other therapists. They can improve the therapy, so you know, makes that moment, those moments, to more moments to connect with people. Well, in Peru, in Latin America.
Right. You've mentioned ACL, and so that's the awareness, courage, and love model, which it's my way of bringing FAP to the general public. So those are the middle level terms that we assign to FAP. It's based on the rules, and it's suggesting that therapists act with awareness, courage, and love in terms of how we work with clients, but it's also promoting those behaviors, those very same behaviors in our clients. And one of your earlier questions was, you know, how has our career path been since we became psychologists? And I've switched more and more to focusing on bringing FAP to the general public through the ACL Global project, because these principles, these ACL principles, are so powerful, Renzo. I mean, you're a chapter leader in this project, and so you know that it can impact the general public without them having to be in therapy, and it just brings out the wisdom of the individual and the power of community in ways that we can't do in individual therapy, but it's based on these principles that originated in FAP. And so to anybody who's watching this interview, I would love for them to go to the website, livewithacl.org, to find out more about the project of bringing FAP to the general public.
Yeah, I will share the link to. Well, I think it's time.
It was really a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes.
Yeah, for me too. It was very important for me this interview.
I'm very glad you invited us. So I take it as a personal.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for those of you watching this, Renzo sent us questions ahead of time, and one of the questions was, what are your recommendations to continue promoting FAP in Peru and Latin America? And I said to Bob, oh, we need more people like Renzo.
Right, I love that answer.
Yeah, we just need more people like you who are interested and who want to talk to other people about it.
Yeah, I continue doing this.
Thank you so much, Renzo.
Very thank you, both of you,
Thank you.
giving this time.